Unfortunate, at my age, it's not usual to talk about any political leader because most of them are young. It's very unfortunate to find that a member of parliament does not know the decorum of parliament. That's why we have dress code. That's how we must talk in a particular manner. For a member of parliament to go outside this house and talk something that is not existing at all. One time in 1998, a member of parliament, a minister, made an allegation to one of the members. He was suspended, and there was a bar. We put a bar there. You go apologize. That's what is coming to. Because for somebody to talk of the money issue really, that's not you're not supposed to be a member of parliament, not even a political head. Because I would imagine that we are really, he must be above the bar, like that gentleman I really respect, Honorable Mpuga. I will continue holding you high.
Thank you.
But others, I feel that we should definitely humble ourselves. Let's talk with evidence. But you can't talk about even a colleague. We have a case in parliament here where somebody talked about a colleague outside here. It's a case. We are supposed to treat other people the way you want to be treated, so that you can be honorable members. Two, Madam Speaker, the issue, the minister was here, Minister of Works is here. We went to Katonga with the Deputy Speaker. We were told that the road would be opened before the end of November. Currently, people are suffering really, going up to Zimbabwe. I don't know when Honorable Minister General Katumba will open that road. I saw it completed. So, three, the bus fares. Bus fares increase because when you take people to Mbare or Mbarara, you come empty. So we must also put something there to compensate. I can tell you, when I take a bus, take people to the up country, they come empty.
You know, some people here are conflicted. When you get Nathan, get Felix, they are all conflicted. But let's not make a fortune out of our people. These people don't have money. And they are going home because they really have to go. Not because they have the money to waste. So we should be considerate enough not to overcharge. Can I hear from the minister?
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I want to respond to Honourable Nathan. Katonga will be opened on Friday at 8 a.m. I hope you'll be there. I hope you'll be there to witness the occasion. Right Honourable Speaker, on the issue of the fares for buses and taxis, I'm going to have an engagement with the leadership. They have an association where we normally do engage when these festive seasons are coming to address the issues of fares, overloading, and also speed. So we are going to engage before the close of the...
Thank you. Honourable members, we will wait for your communication. I'm happy the other time you sent a communique saying that the road should not be worked on because it would be a waste of money. So we want to see your communication in regard to the transport fare, the speeding buses, and the action that you take on those who go against your communication. I want therefore to urge the public to ignore the rumors of the honourable members and treat it with the contempt it deserves. When some of these people don't have what to say, they go and say nothing and do nothing. Next item. Next item.
Item 3.
Honourable members, let's finish. I want to invite you to members' lunch this evening. I want a surprise today for you. As we go for Christmas. Yes.
Item. 3. Right Honorable Speaker, in the same vein, I have pain. There are also allegations in the media that some of the MPs in the opposition ate cooperatives' money. Through your office, Right Honorable Speaker, we have had a lot of calls from the public that you are in the opposition. Did you eat cooperatives' money? Through your office, Right Honorable Speaker, we want to know the names of people in the opposition, especially who ate cooperatives' money. I submit.
Honorable members, the report on cooperatives. Honorable members, listen. The report on cooperatives was uploaded. I told you to internalize, read it and understand. If you see your name there, take yourself to police. The report was forwarded to CID, IGG, and DPP. It is not just a matter of saying opposition, some opposition members were there. So should we talk about rice now? Next item.
Item 3, laying of papers, the National Budget Framework Paper for the financial years 2024-25 to 2028-29.
Honorable members, Section 9(5) of the Public Finance Management Act 2015 and Rule 1441 of the Rules of Procedure of Parliament requires the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development to table the National Budget Framework Paper by 31st of December of the year preceding to the financial year in which the National Budget Framework Paper relates to. However, because we are going for a Christmas festival, we've asked Minister of Finance to table the Budget Framework Paper early enough for us to be able to take off time and study the Budget Framework Paper. It goes to the committees for us to be able to internalize it and scrutinize. I now invite the Minister to lay the National Budget Framework Paper.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, in compliance with the Article 1551 of the Constitution and Section 9, 3 and 5 of the Public Finance Management Act and Section 30 of the National Climate Change Act of 2021 and Rule 1441 and 2 of our Rules of Procedure, I beg to lay on the table the National Budget Framework Paper for financial year 2024-2025 to financial year 2028-2029. I beg to lay.
Please lay.
Madam Speaker, pursuant to Rule 144 of our Rules of Procedure, I beg to lay on table the Certificate of Gender and Equity Compliance of the National Budget Framework Paper 2024-2025 to 2028-2029. I beg to lay.
Please do. I see Christine is very excited.
Yeah, she was waiting for me, but this time I am well prepared for her. Madam Speaker, in that regard, pursuant to Section 30 of the National Climate Change Act 2021, I beg to lay on the table the Certificate of Climate Change Responsiveness to the National Budget Framework Paper for financial year 2024-2025.
Thank
I
you.
beg to lay.
Please lay.
Madam Speaker, with
There's a procedural matter.
Madam Speaker, Rule 32 requires the documents to be uploaded, but we don't have copies on the iPad.
Pardon?
Rule 32 requires that we have these documents, copies of the documents he's laying, but they are not uploaded yet.
The document is very big. It's being uploaded and it will take some time. You will have time with all of them because you're going to scrutinize all of them, committee by committee.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I wish in brief to inform the House and the country what I have read is all about. Madam Speaker, the budget framework paper for financial year 2024-25 covers the following. 1, state of the economy. On the state of the economy, we wish to inform the House that Uganda's economy grew to 184.89 trillion, approximately $49.5 billion, up from 162.75 trillion, which is equivalent to 45.6 billion, registered in financial year 21-22. In real terms, the economy grew by 5.2% in financial year 2022-23, compared to 4.6% registered in financial year 2021-22. The economy is projected to grow by 6% by end of financial year 2023-24, 6.5% in financial year 24-25, and at least 7% over the medium term. Over the past 12 months, the annual headline inflation slowed down from a peak of 10.7% in October 2022 to 2.6% in November 2023. Inflation is expected to remain within the policy target of 5% over the medium term, supported by close coordination between monetary, management, and fiscal policy. Madam Speaker, the theme of the budget for financial year 2024-25 remains same as financial year 2022-23, which is full monetization of the Uganda's economy through commercial agriculture, industrialization, expanding and broadening services, digital transformation, and market access. Madam Speaker, on the imports, on the merchandise side, the merchandise exports increased significantly, growing by 54.9% from US dollars 4.194 billion in October 2022 to US dollars 6.498 billion in October 2023, largely driven by gold, coffee, and maize exports. On the import side, the imports grew by 26.2%, much slower than the growth in the exports, resulting in the narrowing of the trade deficit by 11.2% in the same period. Imports increased to US dollars 9.356 billion in the 12 months to October 2023, compared to US dollars 7.413 billion a year ago. The increase in imports is largely in the oil and gas sector, mineral exploration, and vehicles and accessories. Our priority areas for the next financial year's budget for 24-25 are the following: investing in the people of Uganda, peace and security roads, electricity generation and transmission lines, prioritizing money-earning investments, and effective management of our natural disasters. And we have done this with guidance of the President of the Republic of Uganda. Right Honorable Speaker, we are looking forward to growing our economy tenfold in 15 years. This means that we are working towards moving our economy from 49.5 billion US dollars to 500 billion US dollars in 15 years. And we shall do so by focusing on the following strategic areas. 1, tourism development. 2, agro-industrial development. 3, mineral-based industrial development. 4, oil and gas development, including petrochemical industries. And 5, knowledge economy. Madam Speaker, on the resource envelope, the total funding for financial year 2024-2025 is projected to be 52,722,682,928,748 shillings. The details are in the document which I have laid, in the big document. The financing strategy for the budget, Right Honorable Speaker, will be as follows. 1, we are looking forward to deepening the fiscal consolidation agenda through improved revenue collection, continued repurposing of the budget to improve efficiency and effectiveness of the public expenditure, controlled borrowing to reduce debt servicing costs while supporting faster socio-economic transformation, and implementation of our public investment financing strategy by exploring alternative and more sustainable sources of financing, including PPPs, private equity funds, capital markets, climate financing, including carbon credit markets, among others. And lastly, improving efficiency in execution of projects and public investments. With this, Madam Speaker, our prayer is that we request Parliament to consider the budget framework paper for financial year 2024-2025 to 2028-2029. I beg to move, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister. Yes.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, and let me also thank the Minister for taking us through the budget framework paper. Madam Speaker, the Minister is aware that this preparation of this budget framework paper is supposed to be consistent with the development plan, the National Development Plan, and the Charter for Fiscal Responsibility. And besides laying, by the way, he is required by law to lay 2 certificates here. He has laid 1. This budget framework paper is not only supposed to be gender and equity responsive, but also it is supposed to have a certificate cleared by the Equal Opportunities Commission. Madam Speaker, I'm seeking clarification from the Minister whether he is aware of the 10 programs that could not even pass the test of the Equal Opportunities Commission. And I know the Minister is well polished about the law. Section 9, subsection 2 of the Public Finance Management Act gives him a stringent requirement, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Minister laid 2 documents, 2 certificates. And the one of gender is issued by Equal Opportunities. That is the one you want. And then he has also laid the one of climate change. So he has laid the 2 documents. Honorable members, pursuant to Section 9(7) of the Public Finance Management Act. Yes. I wish I could first refer.
Because I could easily invite the House to reconsider.
To reconsider.
Referral. Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I want to thank the Minister for timely bringing this BFP. I am a bit constrained because in his elaborate referral to the same, that's why the honourable member was a bit dissatisfied that we don't have the document, because we could have helped the minister to make elaborate commentary on his submission. For instance, the minister has ably...
Can I kindly lend you my certificates and you have a look at them?
Thank you,
such that when you're speaking, you have them.
I will make a reference. Thank you for your kindness. Right Honourable Speaker, a quick one. The minister has complied with the certificate, the environmental compliance certificate, as per Section 30 of the Climate Change Act. This is an act passed by Parliament 2021, but there are no regulations on the same. I do not know, Right Honourable Speaker, whether we are moving well to extract a competency certificate in a law that has no regulations since it was passed. I don't know where the Minister of Environment gets the audacity to lay a certificate from a law that is devoid of regulations, Right Honourable Speaker. 2, the Minister is being a bit elaborate on what they intend to change. What is not spoken about, including matters obtained from the Charter of Fiscal Responsibility. The Minister is not clear whether they intend to make some changes on the Charter of Fiscal Responsibility, because if that's the case, you should have laid the same here before the BFP as per the law and procedure, Right Honourable Speaker. Will the Minister clarify whether he is going to put the cart before the horse, or we bear with him to make these undertakings?
One good thing is the Minister is going to appear before all the committees, and make elaborate commitment in all the committees, sectoral committees. But let's hear from him.
Madam Speaker, I want to thank you for your wise guidance. Indeed, when we appear before various committees which will consider the budget framework paper, we shall provide all the information pertaining this process of scrutiny, and we shall also welcome issues which will come from members. However, Madam Speaker, I wish to inform the House that the Charter of Fiscal Responsibility is a 5-year period, and we just approved the one we are using in 2021, which will take us through these 5 years which we are looking at, and afterwards we shall process another one.
Thank you. Yes, Law.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. The Minister is right that the Charter was laid at the commencement of this term of Parliament. But I'm also alive to the fact that he is communicating change in the Government Act, revenue mobilization, and the like. It's not a crime in Legislation 4 of the PFMA Act. You are allowed to alternate. But I'm saying, if you're going to do it, will you inform Parliament that we are at par? It's not a crime for you to make changes in the Charter. If you're going to make the same, you lay the changes before the House. I'm not saying you're committing a crime. But I heard you so well.
You can still bring the changes. Of course, obviously, there will always be changes. So just make a commitment.
I want him to make an admission there. He's communicating a change so that we are not taken by surprise. Some of us are very alert to what you're saying.
You know, you need to. We are bound to have changes. There is something I've already noticed. I've already noticed. I checked an account, and I said, "Why do we have this figure?" So yes, the law allows you.
Madam Speaker, I have worked with the rope, Honorable Matthias Mpuga, for all my life in this parliament. And we normally see some things the same way, especially in regard to these matters. Madam Speaker, yes, on the matters of budgeting and finance, he normally sees what I see. Madam Speaker, we have just laid the framework. We are going to work with this framework up to end of January.
Where any changes
Parliament
required.
will make recommendations. These recommendations, some of them will be changes. And when I come back to lay the budget, the estimates, and also the ministerial policy statements, some information will be provided.
There will be a call circular too.
Oh no, yes. There will be a call circular too, budget call circular too, on the revenue. Yes, it is true. We are aggressively looking for ways of how to finance our budget using our own resources. And we are currently implementing our revenue mobilization domestic revenue mobilization strategy, and there are a number of things we are doing there. And as and when it requires, like when we go to the committees, we will be proposing a number of things for your approval, Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues. And I know Honorable Mpuga's concerns. We shall get there. And when we get there, we are flexible enough to really move together in this. This is not a matter of losing and winning. It's a matter of both winning in order to help us raise money, spend money efficiently and effectively for the good of our people of Uganda. I thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Honorable Minister. And one, I must really appreciate you for bringing the BFP early enough. The burden is now left on the chairpersons of both the Budget Committee and the sectoral committees. And pursuant to Section 9, pursuant to Section 9(7) of the Public Finance Management Act 2015 and Rule 145(1) of the Rules of Procedure, the National Budget Framework Paper is accordingly referred to the Budget Committee for consideration and to the various sectoral committees. The sectoral committees will restrict themselves to the part of the Budget Framework Paper that falls within their jurisdictions. In addition, I wish to guide as follows. The consideration of the National Budget Framework Paper usually coincides with the festival seasons. As such, the chairpersons of various committees should adequately mobilize the members and make sure that this work is done as early as possible. The consideration of the National Budget Framework Paper is time-bound, and that is as per Rule 145(2) of the Rules of Procedure. And this procedure grants the sectoral committees up to 20th July to report back to the committees, but that should be done before. The Budget Committee has up to 1st February to table a report for consideration of the House. The timelines therefore requires early commencement of consideration of this budget framework paper in the relevant committees. I now instruct the clerk to Parliament. I know the tendency of my staff not to allow any staff that works within the committees of the budget, sectoral committees, not to give them leave. They will get leave after the budget has been processed. Proceed on the same.
Yeah, thank you. Right.
In addition, I expect the committees to ensure adequate public participation in consideration of the National Budget Framework paper. Members, you need to participate in this because this is when you get to know what goes to your district, to your constituency, what goes outside there to the Ugandans. And when we are doing this, we are looking at policies. We are looking at the policies that are being handled. You've passed the laws in this house. And now here is where you're going to relate the laws that you passed vis-a-vis what is being brought to you. I want to thank you, Finance, on that. Yes, Sironko.
Yeah, thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I'm standing on a procedural point or guidance, more so that the budget framework paper has been laid and the committees must actively participate. That by the deadline of the January you are setting, committees could have effectively handled the business. But most of the committees, the standing committees have expired. Could that be procedure okay? That at least before you go for the Christmas period, the members could be designated on those standing committees that they can effectively.
Honorable, I thought you're in this place earlier than me. You've been in Parliament earlier than me. This is for sectoral committees. Sectoral committees. I did not mention standing committees anywhere. Next item, yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Actually, my issue has a lot to do with the way our committees are structured. As much as I've not looked at the document, but I believe that government has presented the document in a program-based budget process they took over. And for us, we are still, our committees are still structured on sectors. The last year when we were processing the budget framework paper and actually the budget, there was some bit of disconnect because for them they are reporting or they are presenting as per the program. And for us, we are actually handling per sector. Somehow you realize that one sector once has money or wants money for a very critical item, yet another sector actually is demanding money that may not be that critical. So in the process, there was some disconnect. Madam Speaker, I'm seeking your guidance. If it's not procedurally right, to guide on how best we can handle the budget framework paper now that it's with us as per the program budgeting.
We have programs. It is, the way you look at it is in programs, but it is cross-cutting. When you look at legal, it looks at justice, it looks at IGG, it looks at parliament, it cuts across. So that can be harmonized.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, it is true the preparation for the budget framework paper has been anchored on the 20 programs which we now base our planning on. However, Madam Speaker, we are aware that Parliament still operates in the old style when we were still looking at sectors, and I wish to allay the fears of Honorable Enos that even in these programs there are votes. There are various votes which we use for supply and allocation of resources. So when you get to a program, you will get to know which entity belongs to which vote and which entity belongs to which committee. And as a result of that, the committees will be able to pick out what belongs to them. And when we come to consolidation at budget committee level, we shall now merge, consolidate, and report back to the House as programs. I thank you.
Thank you. Next item.
Item 4, motion for resolution of Parliament to authorize government to borrow up to United States dollars 295 million from the Islamic Development Bank and United States dollars 30 million from the OPEC Fund for International Development for the upgrading of National Roads project in Uganda.
Honorable members, as we are aware, reliable transport connectivity is a vital precondition for economic growth and development. You've just been talking about potholes here, and now we are saying let's get a loan and work on this road network for us to be able to connect throughout the whole country, for us to improve on our transport infrastructure, to reduce the freight costs, and pursuant to Rule 159 of the Constitution, Article 159 of the Constitution, and Section 36 and Section 39 of the Public Finance Management Act 2015, and Rule 1551 of the Rules of Procedure. I now invite the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development to move a motion for a resolution of this House to authorize government to borrow for this purpose. Honorable Minister, I can hear some people with some kabiritis. If you have a kabiriti, take it out.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. In compliance with the laws you have just stated, Article 159 of the Constitution, Section 36 and 39 of the Public Finance Management Act, and Rule 155 of our Rules of Procedure, I beg to move a motion for a resolution of Parliament to authorize government to borrow up to US dollars 295 million from the Islamic Development Bank of China and US dollars 30 million from the OPEC Fund for International Development for the upgrading of National Roads project in Uganda. I beg to move, Right Honorable Speaker.
Is the motion seconded? Seconded by Honorable Baka, Honorable Kasolo, Honorable General Muhosi, by elders, by Honorable Nandutu, by Minister of Works General, by Honorable Magezi, Honorable Daudi, by the whole House who love roads, including Honorable Abed. There is no Islamic Bank of China. A correction. He's making a correction.
Speaker, let the Finance Minister sit down.
Madam Speaker.
Honorable Minister, he's just making a small correction.
I would like to correct my motion. It is my motion. I'm the one to correct it. Madam Speaker, we are borrowing from the Islamic Development Bank. The issue of China was...
Is that Seattle, UK?
We have one Islamic Development Bank. The issue was a typing error.
A typing error. No, that's okay. The error has been corrected. Would you want to tell us the terms of borrowing? Let's first get the terms. I know you want to know the roads. You'll get that from the report.
Madam Speaker, I beg your indulgence that I tell you why we are borrowing and the terms.
Yes.
Madam Speaker, I would wish to justify the loan as follows. The implementation of the project will contribute directly to the NDP3 key result areas of increasing the stock of transport infrastructure, reducing freight transportation costs, and reducing travel time. The upgrading of the national roads project is part of Uganda's national road network and will involve, number one, upgrading of Katine Ochiro Road 70 kilometers, 2, construction of Masindi Port Bridge, and 3, upgrading of Chenjo Jochhura, Gizi, Gwamanja Kahunje 68 kilometers, and Mparabgizi 37 kilometers. Madam Speaker, you can notice that Honorable Frank is very happy about this project. Right Honorable Speaker, the Katine Ochiro Road is currently gravel and does not provide a reliable and efficient all-weather link, which reduces the number of people who travel to the project influence areas. The traffic levels on the road cause fast deterioration of the unpaved surface, resulting in increased cost of maintaining the road in a motorable state. At the Masindi Port Bridge, the existing ferry that facilitates crossing the Victoria Nile to connect to Gwenkunye Masindi Port section to Kungu Apache section is old, with insufficient capacity to carry the ever-increasing traffic. The Chenjo Jochhura Bgizi, Gwamanja Kahunje, and Mpara Bgizi Road is characterized by surface corrugations, inadequate drainage, and poor alignment, and a total carriageway width that varies between 5 to 6 meters. Madam Speaker, the third National Development Plan identifies access to and efficient transport infrastructure as critical to Uganda's competitiveness and the country's ability to harness its regional and globalization potential. Transport infrastructure is noted as a key component contributing to the NDP3 goal of increased household incomes and the quality of life by linking growth opportunities in the key development sectors of agriculture, tourism, and minerals, which facilitate national and international integration and supports job creation and poverty alleviation. The proposed improved road infrastructure is expected to trigger rapid socio-economic development and transformation of communities living within the project impact zone. The selected roads are prioritized for implementation during the third National Development Plan under the Integrated Infrastructure and Services Program. The proposed date is consistent with the existing national vision, public debt management framework, and the third development plan. The terms and conditions of borrowing are as follows. A loan amount US$ 295 million. The loan period is 20 years, including grace period of 5 years. The effective interest rate is 4.75%. Madam Speaker, we have another component of $30 million, and its terms are as follows. Loan period is 20 years, including grace period of 5 years, and the interest rate is at 2%. Madam Speaker, with this justification, we presented the loan to the committee. The committee looked at it, and with your guidance, the committee can take us into the details of what they saw in our proposal. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chair. Honorable members, that was just to inform the debate. I now I'll invite the Chair. But before I invite the Chair, I want to interest the Minister to the Kampala-Jinja Express Highway. The Kampala-Jinja Express Highway, that is a very, very critical road. It takes you to the borders, all the other borders. It takes you to Kenya, to South Sudan, to everywhere. And the loan was approved in June 2020. To date, 4 years down the road, nothing has taken place. The disbursement is at 0.1%. How sure are we that this one that we are approving today is going to be utilized?
Right Honorable Speaker, I request that I come on the floor as soon as Parliament resumes, and I bring an update report on where we are on the Kampala-Jinja Expressway. The demands and the requirements on that project are far much deeper and more complex than the Katino-Ochero, which is like a straightforward project. But I'll bring the details. I request that I be allowed to bring more details as soon as Parliament resumes.
Honorable Minister, that's a priority road. If you're to talk about priorities in terms of roads, that's a priority road.
Much obliged, Right Honorable Speaker.
We need a report on that road, and we'll even stop approving monies for roads before you start working on that road. Yes, Chair. Can you just give us a brief of your report? Because we still have the same kind of report on the next loan.
Much obliged, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, but first please allow me thank my committee, because they had to work round the clock, and through you, if they can stand up for recognition. Through you, Right Honorable Speaker. So, Right Honorable Speaker, thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
You have only 4 members.
Right Honorable Speaker, of course Parliament also has over 500 members, but you can see those are, but they signed, and that's why the report finds its way to meet your expectations.
Anyway, committee, thank you so much for working very hard. But even when you do approvals of these loans, make a follow-up of the previous approvals. Don't just approve anyhow.
Much obliged, Honorable Speaker, and we have pending reports for performance of loans. When the time allows, we shall also present them. Right Honorable Speaker, allow me lay on table minutes of the meetings of the Committee on National Economy with the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development on the proposal by government to borrow up to $295 million from the Islamic Development Bank and $30 million from the OPEC Fund for International Development for the upgrading of national roads project in Uganda, held on 29th November 2023. Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay.
Please lay.
Right Honorable Speaker, also, I know it's uploaded, but for purposes of procedure, allow me lay on table the report of the committee.
Please do.
Right Honorable Speaker, the Minister highlighted the components, project components, and also laid the justification for the loans. Let me mention this on page 12, the project financing. So I would direct you to page 12. The total project cost is estimated at US dollars 347 million. The Islamic Bank will finance US dollars 295 million through a combination of US dollars 13 million and US dollars 282 million installment sales in step 1 and 2 respectively. The PEC fund is expected to offer $30 million through a parallel financing, this will be dedicated to Katine Ochero section. The government of Uganda is expected to provide US dollars 22 million in land acquisition, therefore that's counterpart funding. Right Honorable Speaker, I request to guide the committee, the members to page 17, where we have item 3, which is economic returns on the project. The project present positive net present value, averaging US dollars 41.65 million, with economic rates of return for upgrading of Katino Ochero Road, construction of Masindi Port Bridge, and upgrading of Chihula, Bwizi, Ramwanja, Chihunge at 17.4% and 15.7%, in addition 20.8% respectively. Since the internal rate of return is higher than Uganda's economic opportunity cost of capital at 11%, it's an indication that a project is economically viable and impactful to the whole country with both indirect and direct benefits. Allow me to guide you to page 19. According to the Ministry of Works and Transport, the funding requirements for the proposed interventions in the country, as far as status of roads is concerned, amounts to 580 billion shillings. That's the bad roads. These requirements are categorized in the following entities as follows: National Roads Network, 64 billion; Duka, 429.8 billion. Ministry of Works, in terms of emergency response items for culverts, gabions, Baile bridges, at 50.7 billion, and KCC Road Network at 35 billion. That's under observation. The committee recommends that Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development should, as a matter of urgency, find money to cater for emergency repairs of the roads in the country. 8.2, grace period of the financing. The committee observed that the Islamic Development Bank draft installment sale financing framework agreement defines the payment period as being the period of 15 years, starting from the end of the gestation period, provided that the period from the first disbursement date up to the last payment date shall not exceed 20 years. The gestation period provided for under Article 2 of the framework agreement is 5 years from the first disbursement date. The committee noted that the brief to Parliament by the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development indicated a grace period of 4 years, contrary to the provision in the financing agreement. The committee recommends that the grace period be maintained as 5 years, similar to the gestation period provided for under Article 2 of the draft installment sale financing framework agreement. This should be maintained in the final financing agreement. 8.2, risk premium of the financing agreement. The committee observed that the draft installment sale financing framework agreement provides for a risk premium as a compensation for market risk assumed by the Islamic Development Bank in refinancing prevailing at the time of disbursement. Such prevailing spread would be fixed for the relevant disbursement to be calculated for the remaining financing tenure. The committee also noted that the risk premium was subject to semi-annual update by the bank to reflect changes in the market condition. The committee observed that whereas the Minister of Finance's brief to Parliament indicated a risk premium being 0.5%. The draft installment self-financing framework agreement provided for the prevailing risk premium to be 0.7%. The committee notes that higher risk premium reduces the grant element of the financing from the Islamic Development Bank and also increases the debt servicing cost of this facility. Additionally, updates made to the risk premium complicate the computation of the debt servicing costs for the particular period, including annual projections. The committee recommends that the Minister of Works renegotiates the risk premium to a lower rate and also have it fixed for the entire debt servicing period, since the bank will incorporate the secured overnight financing rate in computing the payment installments. And this can serve as a parameter to reflect changes in the market condition as its variation is caused by the same. 8.3 upgrading Chenjojo, Kihula Bwizi, Ramwanja, Chihunge 68 kilometers and Impala Bwizi 37 kilometers. The committee noted that the project appraisal document and the minister's brief indicate that the selected roads for upgrading under this financing proposal have been prioritized for implementation during the third National Development Plan. The committee further noted that the upgrading of Chenjojo, Kihula, Bwizi, Ramwanja, Kahunge 68 kilometers and Impala Bwizi 37 kilometers were not part of NDP3 projects under the Integrated Transport Infrastructure Services. The committee was informed that the road was actually part of NDP3 project but was termed under Rimi Dura Kamwenge Road. The committee therefore recommends that the project name contained in NDP3 be maintained for consistency with NDP3. The committee also recommends going forward, all MDS should adhere to the provisions of NDP3 to avoid distortions. So the road is the same, but the naming doesn't tally with what is in NDP3. 8.4 land acquisition and compensation of projects affected persons. In line with project costing and provisions in the financing agreement, the committee notes that the government of Uganda is expected to contribute $22 million towards land acquisition. In addition, government of Uganda is expected to cater for all VAT-related costs that will arise during project implementation. The committee observed that a number of projects being implemented by Uganda National Youth Authority have experienced implementation delays because inadequate resources are allocated to land acquisition and compensation of projects affected persons. Acquisition of land and right-of-way in the project sites is vital before onboarding of constructors by UNRA to ensure timely execution and completion of projects. The committee recommends that MDS should always undertake project designs prior to sourcing for money in order to minimize project delays and accrual of sufficient resources be allotted to land acquisition and compensation of project affected persons for this project. Additionally, adequate funds be provided to cater for land acquisition needs for all ongoing roads to ensure that they are fast-tracked and achieve their intended objectives. 8.5 design and scope changes. The committee observed that some externally financed projects such as Busega and PG Expressway have to undergo design changes and rescoping of works. This in effect affects progress of works due to delayed finalization of the designs and have most times resulted into increased variation costs. The committee noted that the design changes are occasioned by the need to improve road designs, minimize land acquisition costs, incorporate environmental and social safeguards, among others, so as to optimize project outcomes. The committee was informed that UNRA has built and continues to build capacity in network planning, designs, and engineering, and has since undertaken numerous designs in-house. The committee recommends that project design stage be accorded thorough scrutiny and this process be concluded before any funding is sourced, This will minimize project delays, accrual of commitment fees, needless and unexpected cost overruns. Right Honorable Speaker, having listened to that, and knowing the need for these roads, and aware that Uganda loses over 428 billions annually due to bad roads, the committee recommends that the proposal by government to borrow up to US dollars $295 million from the Islamic Development Bank and United States dollars $30 million from the OPEC Fund for International Development for the upgrading of national roads project in Uganda be approved subject to those recommendations. I beg to report.
Thank you so much. On top of Uganda losing money on bad roads, it also loses people daily. So many people. And that is what is most important. And that's what we should consider. And as we approve these loans, General, we expect these roads to be worked on. Let's not just approve and it remains here. They should be worked on and completed. And good contractors. Let's not give the contractors that because I know so and so. We need to have good contractors who will do a good job on these roads. Don't work on the road for 1 year, the next year the road is in bad shape. You again come here asking for loans, taxpayers' money. There is a motion. You want to debate on whether the road should be worked on or not? Now, for instance, in Kahunge, I even promised when I went there. Honorable members, even the next loan is on the same. It is on the roads. It's about people's lives.
Motion.
There is a motion.
Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable members, this report is very clear. So I move a motion that the report be adopted and the question be put and move to another item.
Seconded. Seconded by Ochero, by Kahunge, by Honorable members, I now put a question that the motion for a resolution of Parliament to authorize government to borrow up to USD 295 million from the Islamic Development Bank, and USD 30 million from OPEC Fund for International Development for upgrading of the National Road Project in Uganda. Be adopted by this House. Those in favor stand the contrary nay. The ayes have it. I instruct the clerk to extract a resolution and submit it immediately for immediate action. Next item.
Item 5.
Yes,
Motion
there's a
for
procedural matter.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And I want to thank the House for approving the loan. Madam Speaker, you had talked about the Ginger Express. I rise here
I
to
thought
raise...
I rolled.
Yes, the Ginger Express.
I thought I rolled on Ginger Express.
Yes, you ruled. But I rise here on a procedural matter that, Madam Speaker, when you look at the road from Malaba, the road which is actually the main artery that brings the revenue that we are talking about in this House, and the congestion that is unprecedented in Malaba, the congestion where vehicles take now, as much as clearing moves faster, but the jam alone in Malaba, if you are now to move to Malaba and you are about 2 kilometers to Malaba, you can take 4 hours to access the border. The jam. So, Madam Speaker, as we approved this loan that now has gone, wouldn't it be procedurally right that government looks at fast tracking how we can expand the road accessing Malaba, but also do a bypass, since Malaba is the main border, a bypass that should separate the northern corridor traffic from the southern corridor traffic. That is creating a bypass through Kwapa and joining the Mbale Road towards Mbale, because traffic to northern Uganda is increasing, traffic to the oil exploration areas is increasing. Wouldn't it be procedurally right that government fast tracks on seeing how we can expand those roads to enable us generate even more revenue? Thank you.
Honorable Angura, do you know General Katumba? Have you ever known him? I'm just asking.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. General is known to me and is responsible for the docket, but
now that you know him, kindly walk to his office and give him the information, because that is a very crucial matter that does not need to wait for this house.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Most obliged.
Thank you.
But he has also heard. Thank you.
General, have you heard what we are talking about, the road? We need that road to be worked on, and you've heard what he's saying.
Right, Honorable Speaker, it's not the first time Honorable Angura and me have interacted on that matter, and I can assure him that already we have we are in process of creating lanes from Malaba to Tororo, and then also address the bypass, which would throw the traffic ahead of Tororo town.
Thank you. Next item.
Item 5, motion for resolution of Parliament to authorize government to pre-finance the reconstruction of Masaka Mutukula Road, 89.5 kilometers, and rehabilitation of Nyendo Villa Maria, 11 kilometers, upgrading of 3.5 kilometer access road to the Uganda People's Defense Forces Barracks in Masaka, 3.5 kilometer access road to Masaka Industrial Park, and an additional scope of 28.5 kilometers for Kikagati Kafunzo Road at a total cost of Uganda shillings 691,680 million.
Clerk, you need to upload all these reports. Can we just hear the terms of borrowing? Now that everybody is clapping on this. And for colleagues, for a long time, people have been raising issues on this road. And you can see it from the excitement. And because everybody is excited, we are going to go as per the same Article 159 of the Constitution, the Public Finance Management Act 3639, and then the rules of procedure for this House to authorize the borrowing for the said roads. Can we hear from the Minister? Move a motion. We cannot put a question before we move a motion. Some of you have just come today. Move a motion.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Article 159 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda and Section 36 and 39 of the Public Finance Management Act 2015 and Rule 155 of our Rules of Procedure, I beg to move a motion for a resolution of Parliament to authorize government to pre-finance the reconstruction of Masaka Mutukula Road, 89.5 kilometers, and rehabilitation of Nyandovira Maria Road, 11 kilometers, upgrading of 3.5 kilometer access road to Uganda People's Defense Forces barracks in Masaka, and 3.5 kilometer access road to Masaka Industrial Park, and do an additional scope of 28.5 kilometers for Chikagati Kafunzo Road at a total cost of Uganda shillings 691 billion 680 million. Yes, Uganda shillings. I beg to move. Right, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister. Is that seconded? Seconded by, I want to see a leader of opposition. Seconded by everybody, including leader of opposition. Abedi Bwanika, even Bashir. Honorable members, you've heard. Can I now hear from the chair?
Before the chair, Madam Speaker, we have to justify and inform the country about what we are doing, what we are going to do.
I thought what you're saying is justify.
No.
Okay, justify, give us the terms and give us your request.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, Masaka Mutukura Road is a critical link to the port of Dar es Salaam, and the road will facilitate the construction of the East African crude oil pipeline EACOP. Therefore, it is important that its reconstruction is prioritized and undertaken before any further deterioration on the road happens. The reconstruction of the road cannot be financed within the current 2023-2024 budget and financial year 2024-2025 budget ceiling for UNRWA, since it is overcommitted during the mentioned 2 fiscal years with ongoing road projects and those already considered to commence in 2023-2024 financial year. The government therefore engaged a contractor to pre-finance the reconstruction of the road starting with financial year 2023-2024 on the understanding that the government shall refund the contractor in the third financial year, that is 2025-2026, and fourth year, which is 2026-2027, after the start of the construction works, and payments start in the third year after realization of some fiscal space to fund the project. Madam Speaker, China Qing International Construction Company, commonly known as Chico Uganda Limited, has expressed interest in pre-financing this road starting with financial year 2023-24 on the understanding that the requisite costs of the civil works undertaken will be reimbursed over a period of 2 years starting financial year 2025-2026. Pre-financing amounts committing government, which requires government to seek authority of Parliament in line with Section 23 of the Public Finance Management Act 2015 as amended. Madam Speaker, the pre-financing will be done by the contractor for the first 2 years, that is 24 months of the project implementation, at 0 interest rate, and payment by government will have to be done within the last 2 years of the project implementation, starting in the third year, which is 2026. In other words, briefly, these are the terms. No interest rate, but the contractor will do the work and be paid at a profit. The funds do not have interest rate, therefore they are cost-free, but the benefit to the contractor is embedded in the margin or profit which he will get as a result of doing this work. I beg to submit, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you so much, and as much as there's a benefit in that, and we are all excited about tarmacking that side. We need equity in distribution of tarmac. When you look at some areas, there's no tarmac. We need equity. And much as you've said, it is a very important road. Kampala Jinja, Malaba is equally very important. So you need to make sure that you work on that road. When you look at the roads, Karuma Pakwach, Nebiarua, Gulu Achak Nimule are equally very important. When you bring a road on the other side, you should also be able to bring on the other side for you to be able to balance the equation. Let's balance the boat so that we are able to have, yes. Because I am not saying we are not working on the road. Let's work on the road. It's overdue, but you need to balance. Okay? Balance.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I know the Minister of Works will elaborate on this, but for us at Finance, what guides us is the National Development Plan. All these new projects we are doing, except for Masaka Mutukura, which is in dire need.
Does the National Government Development Plan have equity in it?
Yes, Madam Speaker. The National Development Plan talks about, emphasizes more on balanced and regional development.
Yes, that's what we are saying.
This is our guiding tool.
Yeah, that is
but I know that the Minister of Works, who is responsible for the sector, can really add. But for us at Finance, our tool which guides what we do is the National Development Plan.
At Finance, you should be able to balance and say, this time we have funded this region, next time we should be able to fund this region, another time we should be able to fund another region. Huh? We are representatives of all the regions in this country. So people look at us like we don't mind about them. Can we first hear from the chair? You want to debate what you've not heard?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, and in the same spirit, allow me to lay on table minutes of the committee in consideration of Mutukula, Masaka Road. I beg to lay.
Please lay.
For purposes of recall, let me also lay on table the report of the committee. Madam Speaker, having listened to all those submissions, let me proceed to observations and recommendations, but summarized. And in particular, the committee looked at the unit cost of the road, and which was on the higher side, and made the following recommendations. The committee recommends that given the high cost, the Minister of Works and UNRA should ensure that the contractor delivers the best quality bridges and roads in order to achieve value for money. In addition, yes, please. In addition, the committee recommends that UNRA should increase the stations, the places of convenience on the road from 1 to 2, since this is an international highway. So that's within that cost. Further, given the unit cost of the project, the 400 meters from Ndegeya PTC be upgraded and street lighting should be included in the following urban areas. Masaka urban stretch to be increased to 10 kilometers, that's the street lighting. Bukunda urban stretch 1.5, Villa Maria to Nyendo Road 11 kilometers, Masaka Industrial Park which is 3.5 kilometers, and Chitwe Town on Chikagati Kafunjo Road. Madam Speaker, that's within, we are recommending it's within the same cost. Then the other recommendation, Madam Speaker, is on the slow disbursement in external finance projects, but this is specific to, we are paying out Ginger Express Highway that you mentioned earlier. I request that I read this. The Kampala Ginger Express Highway was at procurement stage 7 years after the project started, and by June 2022, it had attracted commission fees amounting to $3 billion according to Auditor General's report for financial year ending June 2022, and between July and December 2022. Uganda shillings 1.1 billion was spent on commission fees. The committee was informed that the delay in the implementation is partly attributed to cabinet and parliament's approval conditions that delayed the project by 18 months, as well as delayed procurement of the project implementation unit due to lack of readily available skills in the region. The committee recommends that UNRA should ensure the external finance projects are only secured. We reiterate the earlier. But further, for government of Uganda projects, UNRA should ensure that timely implementation to create the much needed fiscal space that shall be required in 2 years' time. Now that this one has to be cleared within 2 years after implementation. The Whistleblowers Act 2010 should be amended, provide for timeliness of procurement-related complaints as it is in the PPD Act. We mentioned earlier issue of inadequate counterpart funding. The committee observed that the budget for land acquisition under this project is not enough. Some projects had to stall, as contractors had to wait for when the sections of the road will be acquired so as to access full possession of the site. For instance, civil works for Kigumba, Bulima, under the Kigumba Masindo Makaboya Road project commenced works a year after contract signature due to lack of adequate right-of-way, which was attributed to inadequate funding for land acquisition. The committee recommends that the budget for land acquisition under UNRA should be enhanced to ensure smooth implementation of various projects with government commitments. In addition, UNRA should prioritize counterpart funding for this project under the land acquisition project to ensure its timely implementation, leaving no room for blame on government for any delays. 10.5, there is a currency breakdown. The committee recommends that UNRA should consider renegotiating for better currency breakdown in the vice, because, Madam Speaker, the breakdown was 80% US dollars and 20% Uganda shillings. And the committee recommends therefore, consider negotiating for better currency breakdown in the various contracts so as to minimize on the foreign exchange risk associated with foreign currency, preferably a ratio of 50 to 50. Conclusion, the committee recommends that the proposal to pre-finance the reconstruction of Masaka Mutukula Road 89.5 kilometers and rehabilitation of Nyendo Villa Maria 11 kilometers, upgrading of 3.5 kilometers access road to Uganda People Defense Forces Barracks in Masaka, 3.5 kilometers access road to Masaka Industrial Park, and an additional scope of 28.5 kilometers for Chikagati Kafunjo Road at a total cost of Uganda shillings 691 billion 680 million be approved subject to the observations and recommendations herein. Honorable Speaker and honorable members, I beg to move.
Thank you so much. Chair for the report, brief report. Nyendo, you wanted to say something? Nyendo, there's a motion, Nyendo.
Right, Honorable Speaker. I want to thank the chairperson for the report and the attendant observations. I have two remarks, Honorable Speaker. One is that the House should recognize that for the first time, the government is bringing a pre-finance project for approval. 2 years ago, I raised the red flag over the avalanche of projects offered on yellow papers, committing government without scrutiny of Parliament. There was denial from the Attorney General. Now he has worked backwards. The House is at liberty to self proud for insisting that it was illegal and irregular and out of space. So that was the way to go from the word go, right, Honourable Speaker. I am glad that the government has woken up and corrected the illegality that was being visited on the taxpayer. Secondly, to congratulate the Minister for Works for finally working on the Mutukura Road. It was a monument of shame to the nature of neglect we can visit onto ourselves on such an international highway that brings in a lot of revenue into the country. So I hope it will change not only the face. You don't Speaker, you drive through Tanzania and enter Uganda, and then you realize that it's a whole new, space on earth. It was a huge shame on us. I hope it will lift our image and also enhance the revenue inflow into the country. Finally, I concur with you, Regional Speaker, that finance and works need to harmonize, balancing. While we are going to work with that international highway, the hinterland feeding into that highway is terrible. I admire colleagues coming from the oil districts. They got oil roads. For us, the coffee farmers have never got any coffee roads. Despite supporting this country for generations, we have never received coffee roads. If you go into the hinterland feeding that international highway, it's terrible. The roads going into the constituency of my sister, Namju Sise, some of the biggest coffee growers into the country for generations, they're terrible. The road from Masaka to Chiwangala, Ndagwe, over 60 kilometers. The beauty is that the general knows so well about that road, and the road is going to Bukoma and Simbi, the biggest producer of coffee. They're terrible roads, that Honourable Speaker. I hope the Honourable Minister will.
At least for us, the Milky Roads have.
Look, information. Look.
We have the Milky Roads.
Information. Yes. Right. Look. Yeah. Thank you, Right Honourable Lope. Lope, you are mentioning.
Are you thanking me? Madam.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I have heard the Lope talking about no coffee road for generation. But one thing you don't know is that cotton has been the first crop registered. It is an international crop, and we have grown this crop. I've been educated on the basis of that crop, and even now we are struggling to get the Ministry of Roads to extend some roads there. Right Honourable Speaker, let it be on record. The Minister of Transport assured the people of the North that there will be security shortcut that will connect the North with the South through Amodo Swamp. It is now 10 years since. Nothing has been seen. And you know, Right Honourable Speaker, the highway that connects the North with the East has remained miserable. Apart from that spot between Dokolo and Soroti, that's the only thing we can be proud of, because you wanted to make me feel good. But then the entire north is in a bad shape. So, Right Honorable Speaker, it is important that the Minister of Transport should know Kofi goes through Lera Kamdini, Kofi goes through Soroti, Kofi goes through the highway. We need Cotton Road. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Finally,
Honorable members, maybe just an announcement. We'll be having Christmas carols presided by His Grace the Most Reverend Dr. Stephen Samuel Kazimba on 20th, and they will be here and in the conference hall. The letter has been written by Reverend Canon Christine Shimanya. Honorable members,
can I conclude?
Coffee, I've had
No, I'm concluding, Honorable Speaker.
Okay.
Because I was actually thanking the Honourable Minister for Works for this network. Finally, the Nyendovida Maria Road connects to a monument, a cascade of monuments of historical nature of the Catholic faith. It was also really most deserving. So I hope, like the committee has observed, because these are in the city and closer environments, lighting them would be most appropriate, Right Honourable Speaker. So I want to agree with the committee for those observations. I thank you.
Thank you, honorable members. As we go for Christmas, we the cattle keepers, so many people are going to start stealing. So a lot of theft. And then we've heard about anthrax in the districts of Kazo, Sembable, Chotera. So we should be able to protect our cows not to be contaminated. And also because of the weather. The weather, it is rainy, a lot of malaria. So we should take note. Honorable members, I now put a question that the motion for resolution of Parliament to authorize, by the way, I don't need a motion. The debate has been done. Honorable members, I now put a question that the motion for a resolution of Parliament to authorize government to pre-finance a reconstruction of Masaka Mutukula Road, 89.5 kilometers, and rehabilitation of Nyendo Villa Maria Road, 11 kilometers, upgrading of 3.5 kilometers access road to the Uganda People's Defense Force Barracks in Masaka, 3.5 kilometers access road to Masaka Industrial Park, an additional scope of 28.5 kilometers for Chikagati Kafunso Road at a total cost of 691,680 million be approved by this House. Those in favor say under control and nay. The ayes have it. Honorable members, I want to thank you so much for all the work you've done as we end the year and we go and join our voters to enjoy Christmas, celebrate Christmas, the birth of Jesus Christ. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas and a blessed one. And I want you to take very good care of yourselves. Take very good care of yourselves. And may the good Lord always be with you and bless you all. I adjourn the House and dine.
Yeah.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.